is Brandon Fuller. I'm the owner of Raise the Roots, and formerly I was the accounts director at Engaging Networks. And this presentation is one I gave at the Engaging Networks Community Conference in October of 2017. And so I'm going to reprise it in this recording so that anybody who missed it can watch it, or anybody who saw it and wants to see it again, it's available online. So just quickly, Raise the Roots is a digital agency. We work on Engaging Networks. We do social media work. We also have experience in Salesforce and with Roy Solutions. We do everything from the basics of just writing content, producing emails and pages, to things that are more advanced, like creating marketing automations. If you want to set up a hub, if you want to work on list acquisition, reporting, maybe you want to do some data hygiene, create templates, page templates, and email templates, really anything you want to do in the full spectrum. And generally this work comes in the form of either a retainer. So if you're an organization that is looking to outsource some of the day-to-day work, that usually fits well into a retainer, or a project. So if you have a discrete project that needs to be completed, we can also help you with that. This is going to be available at www.raisetheroots.com/live. We actually do monthly webinars that are 15-minute long webinars on how to get the most out of Engaging Networks. Those are also available there. We have a full archive of all of the presentations that we've done. There were handouts for this presentation at Engaging Networks Community Conference. You can find those at that website as well. You can download them there, as well as the slide deck. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me. It's brandon@weraisetheroots.com. So let's get started by talking about what are marketing automations. So a marketing automation is really simplifying a day-to-day task, or maybe something that is a welcome series, or something that you know you should be doing that you're not currently doing because it's tedious. So if there's some kind of routine act that you need to pull down data, set up emails, remember to send them out every single month, or this time every year, or every single day, automations are a perfect solution for that. The idea here is that we're going to identify our audience. So this is a special audience of people who we're targeting. We set up the emails that audience is going to receive, and we set up a goal to convert them, whether it's making a donation, maybe updating a donation, or taking some kind of an advocacy action. The idea here is identify, email, and then convert. So just to give you an idea, marketing automation might sound like an abstract concept. Here's an actual marketing automation in Engaging Networks. So you see here you have the journey start. This is when your marketing automation will begin. You can ask it to run it daily, weekly. You can choose which day of the week you want it to start every week, and what time. Here it's going to start at 9 a.m. Eastern time. And then it's just going to send your first email to the audience that you identified on that timing. It's going to wait a day, send the next email, then you can insert another wait. You can also add in here little decision points so that after you send the first email, maybe if somebody converts on a page, you want to send them a different email or end their journey. So you can really customize this however you want, but as you can see, the idea here is to create a journey for these identified members of our audience, and to give them a certain experience, to engage them, to send them specific emails in the hopes that they'll achieve some kind of a goal. In this instance, it's sort of like a welcome series. So the goal is just to warm them up to the topics, get them used to seeing a particular sender from your organization, get them used to seeing your emails in their inbox. So if you've never created a marketing automation in Engaging Networks, you're going to go up to the email tab, and in the drop down there's a marketing automation link there. You're going to click that. It'll take you into the marketing automation module. And if you click on create new marketing automation, it's going to present you with these three options. You've got a general. This is basically to send a series of emails. You have new to donor and new to first action. The second two are templates that Engaging Networks has created, and they're setting out the goal here that this new person, you're trying to either convert them to making their first donation, or convert them to taking their first action. I always stick with the general, mostly because I like the flexibility of being able to choose my own goal, set up my own emails. I don't find the templates necessarily helpful. And then you're going to set up your audience. So you'll put in the settings the name of your automation, just like you always do with an Engaging Networks page or anything that you're creating in that platform. But then you have to select your audience. And really what we're going to focus on here is setting up that audience, because that's the trickiest part. Everybody knows how to create emails, and it's pretty intuitive to sort of design the experience and the journey for people. But how you actually get at the people you're trying to target is a little more complicated. So we're going to go over that right now. So the idea of setting up an audience here with these marketing automations is that you're going to start with a supporter profile, and we'll walk through how you create those, what filters you should be looking for. You also need to select which opt-in that the people who you're targeting are a member of. So Engaging Networks requires this. You can't bypass this requirement. So if you're not using opt-ins in Engaging Networks, you should probably reach out to them or reach out to me and get that set up, because you need to have opt-ins in Engaging Networks really to do anything effectively. And then you have filters. So maybe you're trying to limit this profile. You're only looking at a smaller segment of it, or maybe you're trying to suppress certain people from this profile. So in the middle there is where our supporter is going to be. This is the audience we're targeting. And for this example, we're going to do a Care2 import. So we've done a Care2 campaign, and out of that we have a spreadsheet of new supporters. We're going to import that list of new supporters, and we're going to start targeting them with marketing automations. And the first marketing automation we're going to use is a welcome series. So this is probably the type of marketing automation that most people are familiar with. This is a series of emails to somebody who's just joined your list. And in Engaging Networks, you have a couple different options of where you want to start. So the idea here is that you're going to create your universe of people that you're targeting, and then you're going to sort of limit it from there. So let's think about this. They have new supporters in this dropdown of who this automation is going to target, supporters who have donated, supporters after their first action, supporters after their first donation, and supporters in the following profile. So for my examples that we're going to go through here, I'm always going to work with supporters in the following profile. I like the flexibility of being able to select exactly the criteria I want for the universe of audience, the universe of people that we're targeting. But if you're just creating a generic welcome series where you just want to say any new supporter, no matter where they come from, no matter how they find us, I want them to get this series of emails, you could just click on new supporters, and essentially what Engaging Networks is doing there for you is they're saying if created date equals today, then send these people this series of emails. And if for the other ones, they're looking, this new person came specifically from an advocacy action, they're new, send them this series of emails. So you could go with that. They're kind of taking the guesswork out of this for you. But I like to focus on the profile because it gives me more flexibility in who I'm targeting. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to create a profile to identify these new people, these new Care2 people that we've imported for a welcome series. So if you've never used a supporter profile before, they're available in the regular Engaging Networks areas. You can create one, use these filters to target or to sort of identify specific people. And then you can use those profiles for things like conditional content emails and for reporting conditional content on the pages. But in this instance, we're just using it for marketing automations. And I'm going to go, so I went here, I selected that last options, supporters in the following profile. It's going to present me with the supporter profile setup here with the different filters. And that little drop down in the filters area is where all the filters are available to help you get at the data you need to identify your audience. So in this example, I'm going to start with constituent data. That's all the fields that you have on your supporter profile. And I'm looking for source. So we have a source field in our constituent data. When I imported my new Care2 people, I put as their source Care2_10_2017. So I want to make sure that I'm identifying those new Care2 people by their source. And then they have supporter created data as another filter. So I want to identify these people as the new people. It's possible that there are some people on that Care2 import who are already on my file. So make sure that they don't get a welcome series because they've been around for a while. I'm going to say any supporter created on this date. You can also, so here I've seen supporter created date is October 12, 2017. You can select either for on this date or since this date. So if you're going to continue importing Care2 lists from this particular campaign, week after week after week, you could select since this date. And that way, going forward, as you import these new spreadsheets of Care2 supporters, they'll continue getting this welcome series. In my example, this is just, we're only going to have this one spreadsheet, so I'm going to say anybody created today with this source code, these are the people I'm identifying with this welcome series. So then the next step is looking at the opt-in, the filter, and the exclude. And you'll get familiar with this process. It might seem a little strange now in the first example, but example after example, it's the same process. So first we're going to select our opt-in. In this example, I'm just going to select a general opt-in. These are people who aren't necessarily coming in for donations, and they're not necessarily coming in for advocacy. So we're just going to have a general opt-in for them. I have no reason to filter the list, but you could filter it based on things like a page they converted, the state that they live in, the country they live in. If you have that kind of data, you could do that. And you can also exclude people, so essentially suppress them. So you could do that as well. And for a welcome series, I don't have any reason to suppress anybody. It's just everybody who's on this CARE2 spreadsheet. So I'm just going to select my opt-in and move on. And this is what my final result looks like. So I have my universe. That's the CARE2 people created on the state. Then I have my opt-in, my general opt-in. Then I have filter the list, so there's no filter and there's no exclude. And this is what your welcome series can kind of look like. So you have your initial email here that's going to go out to people. Then you have the wait, so it just says welcome to our list. Then maybe you wait a day and send them their first advocacy action. Then maybe you wait to see if they took action on that. You can send them maybe a donation ask. If they didn't take action on that, instead you can send them an additional email, maybe a reminder to take action. Then for everybody, they may end up on a social media ask to follow you on Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, and then you have the journey end that you have to install at the end there. So here you can see you have a series of emails with a decision point in the middle deciding which next email people are going to receive. And it's pretty easy to set these up. You're just going to drag these buttons on the left onto the page, and then they'll be connected with these arrows, and you can sort of just map out the journey you want people to take. The decision points here, you have a few different options. You have page converted, donation made, recurring donation made, email opened, email sent, email clicked, so that you can really be imaginative about how you want to set these up. All right, so we have these new CARE2 supporters, and one of them has made multiple donations, which is great. It's only been a few days, and they've made so many donations. And so now maybe you want to create an automation that looks for people who made multiple donations in a short period of time and offer up to them the possibility of becoming a recurring donor. So we're going to start with our universe, which is always with our supporter profile. So we're going to select supporters in the following profile. And then we need to look for this particular filter. So there's a few fundraising filters in supporter profiles. There are some where you can filter people based on the amount of their donation. In this case, we're looking for a filter that identifies people based on the number of donations they've made. So we have the fundraising donation processed. And it says here, find supporters whose donation count is greater than 2 on any fundraising page during the last 90 days. So here we're looking at people in the last 3 months who've made more than 2 donations. And you can select particular donation pages here. I just did any page. If you have some donation pages that you use for something completely different and you don't want any of those donors included in this filter, you can just select the donation pages that you want to target. So that's our audience, our universe of people. So next we're going to kind of filter down from there. So we're going to choose the opt-in. In this case, I'm going to choose our fundraising opt-in so that if anybody wants to opt out of these messages, they will continue receiving our advocacy messages and maybe our newsletter. Then you can filter the list based on a particular criteria. So if I wanted to, I could filter based on specific pages they've converted, or I could filter and say I only want people who've donated between $0 and $25 or something. And then exclude records based on these criteria. So here we're going to exclude existing recurring donors who are giving above a certain amount. You can also exclude existing recurring donors who have an active recurring donation already, because we don't want to make a pitch to an existing recurring donor to become an existing recurring donor. So here, if you're going to suppress somebody who's already a recurring donor, you click all donation pages in the exclude area and payment type equals recurring. So here we have our final result. We have supporters who have donated more than 2 times in 90 days. We have the fundraising opt-in. We're not filtering this audience at all, but we are going to exclude our existing recurring donors. And this is what your email series can look like. You can do these in a really simple way. So in this example, we're just going to say, thank you for donating multiple times in the last 90 days. Did you know that we have a monthly giving program that makes this process easier for you and also reduces administrative costs for us? Here are the benefits of becoming a monthly donor, and make the case for why somebody should be becoming a monthly donor. This is great because you know you should be doing more to try to recruit people to be recurring donors, and this simplifies that entire process. They're just going to receive these on a rolling basis. One thing I want to note here is that if you're in an automation, you're only in that automation one time. So you don't have to worry about these people who they love to give, but they don't want to be recurring donors, and they're just going to keep getting this email over and over and over again. They're only going to receive this automation once. All right, so we have this donor who's given multiple times, and they become a recurring donor. And now this Care2 supporter has also taken action multiple times on our petitions and our other advocacy acts. And so we want to reward them. We want to try to keep them loyal. And so let's acknowledge their contributions and label them a super advocate. So again, we're going to start with our supporter profile. We're going to identify our universe of supporters. And we're going to use the filter advocacy activity in the supporter profile. So this is something that's going to look at not specifically the pages that you're taking action on, but how many actions you've taken. So find supporters whose activity count is greater than 5 in any advocacy activity during the last 180 days. Here where it says any advocacy activity, you could use that drop down to just specify email to target or tweet to target. I don't know why you would specify that, but you do have that option. If you don't do a lot of advocacy, and so maybe greater than 5 in 6 months, that's a huge number for you, this is totally flexible. So you could just do anybody who's taken action two or more times in the last 180 days. But that's our filter that we're going to use in this example. So we're going to choose our advocacy opt-in so that people who maybe don't want to receive these messages will continue receiving fundraising messages and newsletters. You can filter the list based on our criteria. So in this example, I want to talk a little bit about attributes. You should be labeling your pages with attributes. And that way you can do things like filter and report based on a tag that's on those pages. That's really what an attribute is. It's a tag. So this organization that I'm using as an example, they do action on cheetahs, elephants, and bears, as well as some other issues. But we really only want to send a message to the advocates who take an action on those issues, and cheetahs, elephants, and bears. We also only want to focus on our activists who live in the United States. So I can exclude based on location, including country. So we have supporters who have taken action more than 5 times in 180 days, who are on the advocacy opt-in. Only those who've taken action on a page that's tagged to elephants, bears, and cheetahs, and we're going to exclude anybody who lives outside of the United States. And this is what a super advocate email series can look like. You have the initial email, maybe you have a cool badge in there to kind of gamify this experience. You could encourage people to share the badge on social media and invite their friends to also take action. You could include in the series a wait that's followed by an email that asks people to take it to the next level by becoming a recurring donor or giving money. So you may have recurring donors who give using a credit card, and their credit card expires, and suddenly their recurring donation becomes suspended. And Engaging Networks, they'll make the first attempt on the day that the recurring donation is supposed to occur. They'll wait. If that doesn't go through, they'll wait 24 hours, make another attempt, and then if that doesn't go through, they'll wait, I believe it's 3 to 5 more days, and make a final attempt. And after 3 attempts, that recurring donation becomes suspended. So we're going to create a marketing automation that sends an email to people who have a status of a suspended recurring donation, asking them to update their information so that their recurring donation can start again. So here we have supporters in the following profile, and there's a filter here for fundraising recurring donation. And we're going to select one we're going to insert find supporters with a recurring donation between $1 and $100. So maybe you don't want to target people who are major donors on your recurring program. You might want to reach out to them personally. So to put a range, you put the number, first number, and then the tilde, which is a little squiggly mark, and then the next number. So this is between $1 and $100. In US dollars, where the recurring status is suspended, and then during the last, I just put 5 days. So this is going to run every day. So it's going to look back over the last 5 days and see if anybody meets this criteria. If they have not already received the marketing automation, they'll get the email. So it just kind of can set it up and let it run. If you have multiple currencies, you can enter a whole other filter and just keep stacking these filters on top of each other, and it'll look for people who meet this criteria but maybe using different currencies. So that's your universe of people. All right, so now we're going to look at our opt-ins. So this is, again, a fundraising opt-in. It's a recurring donation email, so we're going to choose fundraising. Then we're going to select which filter we're going to use and which exclude we're going to use. I'm not going to use a filter on this one, but you may want to exclude people who have recurring donations that are not suspended. So, it could turn out that you have a recurring donor who has a suspended recurring donation and then they've come back and made a new recurring donation. So you probably want to suppress anybody who has an active recurring donation. And this is what your series can look like. So you have an initial email that's just like a low ask. It's just letting people know that their credit card has expired. Please go to either this donation page or a hub with a recurring donation gadget on it, and just go ahead and create a recurring donation. If it's a donation page, people will be creating a whole new recurring donation. It'll be a whole new transaction. If it's a recurring donation being updated in the hub, it'll just update the current recurring donation, and then they'll try running it again. So you send that first email, you wait 5 days. If the recurring donation is complete, they come off, they've done what you've asked them to do, and you don't have to continue sending them emails. If they haven't, then you send them the next one. And maybe the next email makes the case for your recurring donation program. Wait 3 days. If they made a recurring donation, then take them off the series. If they didn't, send them a very urgent email, making them aware of the fact that you're no longer receiving a gift from them, and this is how they can update it. You can see here that there's a condition for these decisions for recurring donation complete. So it's an actual option in there, which makes it a lot easier to set this up. All right, so with these Care 2 people, they've kind of been through quite the journey. They received our Welcome series. They have made multiple donations. They became a recurring donor. They became a super advocate. Then the recurring donation suspended. And unfortunately, we're starting to see them become less and less engaged. How do you know somebody's become less engaged? Well, Engaging Networks has something called the engagement score. And this is something that they're doing right now to your account, whether you know it or not. And they're running your list through this filter to see how active are your supporters in your emails. So they have 3 criteria they're using to measure engagement. Number 1 is converted any landing page from an email. The next level down is clicked on 2 or more links in your emails. And the next level down from there is clicked on 1 link in one of your emails. And they look at those 3 standards over a span of time. So there's people who have met one of those 3 standards in the last 3 months, 4 to 6 months, 7 to 12 months. And then they have these 2 scores at the end, which is anybody who's opened an email, but they've done nothing else. They haven't clicked and they haven't converted in the last year. And then people who've done basically nothing. People who are opted into your list, but they haven't opened anything, they haven't clicked anything. Those are people with a score 11. So this is a really great way of thinking about data hygiene and looking at your list. You can only have 1 score. So if somebody's ended up in this score 4, score 5, or score 6, that means that they previously had clicked email, they had converted, they had clicked links in your emails, but in the last 4 to 6 months they haven't. So these are people we're targeting because these are people who were engaged but are clearly becoming less engaged. And before they can become completely disengaged, we want to try to get them back into our email list and get them active again. These engagement scores run the first of every month. So if you do this marketing automation, you're not going to see the results right away in your engagement scores. You'll see them after the first month that it's been running. So again, we're going to start with supporters in the following profile. And we're going to use the email engagement filter. And in this case, we're going to use 2 of these filters because we're looking for a range of people. We're looking for people between who have a score 4, a score 5, or a score 6. So for the first one, we're looking for supporters whose email engagement level is greater than 3. And then the next one is supporters whose email engagement level is less than 7. So that'll give us our range between 4, 5, and 6. We're going to choose our opt-in. I'm just going to do a general opt-in, and then we're going to filter our list and do our excludes. I would think about, on the exclude side of things, recurring donors, because you may actually send less emails to recurring donors, and so logically they may be less engaged because they're not receiving as much email. And maybe also if you have a list of people who've asked to receive fewer emails, like a lower frequency list, you obviously want to exclude them too, because just the fact they don't receive a lot of emails means they may have a lower engagement score. And this is what your automation could look like. So you have the first email, and maybe the goal here is to get people to click. So that way they'll move up in their engagement score. So you need to be sending emails with basically clickbait. So the first one could be like a great video that displays all of your victories, or a link to some really interesting infographics that you have, whatever some of your most popular content is. Wait 3 days. If they clicked on that email, then you can take them out of the journey. If they didn't, then you can send them another email. Maybe this is an advocacy message. It's been your most successful advocacy message. It's gotten a huge response. So send that to them. If they click, then take them off the journey. If they don't, then send a final email that says, we miss you and we need your help. And really try to pull at those heartstrings, show your best content, maybe your trending petitions, and try to get them to click on it. You could even have a survey that asks them, what are we not doing? What could we do better? What would you like to share with us? Some kind of information, tell us more about you, and just see if you can try to extract a click out of these supporters, because really at this point you've sent them 3 emails. They haven't clicked on any of them, and God forbid they haven't opened all of them. And they're probably at this point starting to leave your list, and maybe even the email address has gone bad. So this is our final sort of section of this presentation. I'm just going to show you some quick tips. The first is that there are settings for marketing automations. If you go to account settings, which is click on your name at the top of the new user interface, you'll see account settings, then go to account preferences. And you'll see there's these 3 check boxes for email. They call them email triggers. That's the old name. They're actually marketing automations. And you can decide things like, should marketing automations be prioritized, where you can only receive 1 marketing automation at a time, or maybe you can receive multiple marketing automations at a time. You can decide, if you cancel a marketing automation, does that mean that people stop getting the emails, or do they continue receiving the emails until they finish the journey? And then you can also select whether or not you want to include people who are on these journeys in your regular email stream. So you may have, during most of the year, you want these people who are on a marketing automation to be suppressed from all the other emails you send. But maybe during year end, you want to uncheck this box because you want everybody to receive all of your fundraising appeals. The next thing I wanted to kind of point out is that in the marketing automation module itself, you can prioritize your marketing automations. So if you've set the setting where you only want people to receive 1 marketing automation at a time, you need to prioritize them, because what if somebody qualifies for the criteria of more than 1 marketing automation? Which marketing automation should Engaging Networks send them on? So you can put at the top of your priority level, this is the one I want everybody to receive if they qualify for more than 1 marketing automation. And that might be like your suspended recurring donations automation. That's very important. You really want everybody who qualifies for that to receive that email series. So you could put that at the top of your priority list. That's everything. Thank you so much for watching this. Again, if you have any questions, you can email me at brandon@weraisetheroots.com. We also have an archive of all of our previous webinars on weraisetheroots.com/live, which is where you can find the handouts that I had to download those, and you can also download the slides from this presentation. Thanks, and have a great day.